Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Whittier Birthplace virtual lecture series. Our speaker tonight is David A. Duston. He is on the board of directors of the Duston-Dustin Garrison House Association, as well as the secretary of the Duston Family Association. And so we are very excited to have him join us this evening to learn about this other historic house here in Haverhill, Massachusetts. So thank you, David, and take it away.
Well, hello everyone, and thank you so much for coming out and inviting me to share some information about the Dustin Garrison House. And uh, just a quick word of introduction. I'm an 11th generation descendant of Thomas and Hannah Dustin. And I'm not a genealogist, so I don't know what that makes me to her. Is she my, 17th great grandmother or what? I'm not exactly sure, but I just know that we are related, and our the family genealogy traces all the way down to my oldest uncle, who died several years ago at the age of 102. So he is printed in there. My dad was the baby of the family and didn't make it in with his brothers and sister, but I at least am published in in those books. I mean, my side of the family is. So uh, I am not, as I said, I'm not a genealogist, and I'm not. Uh, I don't have a PhD in history. I just happen to love history, and I have uh, have really fallen in love with this old Dustin Garrison house, which which was built by uh, Thomas Dustin. It was started in about 1696 when the Haverhill Select Board, the village select board, adopted a resolution that called for six so-called garrison houses to be established in the outer limits of the village of Haverhill. Uh, in that year, 1696, a uh, uh, a Haverhill a Haverhill man, and I've all of a sudden blanked on his name, but was captured in an Indian raid with four of his children, and really uh, that really caused a whole lot of fear and consternation in the village of Haverhill. And the select board decided that there would be six garrison houses established in the environs of Haverhill Village. And the Dustin Garrison House, being built at the time by brickmaker Thomas Dustin, my paternal forebear, it, was one of the six that were identified by the select board, and it's the only one, as far as I know, it's the only one that is actually still in existence today. And I will tell you a little bit uh, as we go along here. I'll tell you a little bit how that came to be. And uh, we're quite proud of it. I mean, this really was a place where Thomas and Hannah lived for a time. They didn't live here for a long time, but they lived here for a time after Hannah made her escape back to Haverhill from uh, Boscawen, New Hampshire, which is very close to where I am speaking to you from now, because I live in Kentucook, New Hampshire, which is just up the river a little, up the Kentucook River a little bit from Boscawen, and the place where Hannah made her escape. Uh, so you can see it's brick. There are some bricks in this build. The bricks were believed to have been made by Thomas Dustin in his brickyard, which was down near Little River. And I haven't been there, full disclosure, but many people who come through the house when we give tours and who are from the Haverhill area say, "Oh yeah, I know where that brickyard was, because I used to play as a kid on the bank of Little River." And you can see that it has really good clay and stuff in the bank of the river. And we all said, yeah, this is probably where bricks were made. So there are a few of the bricks on the lower level that today have a distinct, looks like a thumbprint in the side of the bricks. And we're very fond of pointing that out and speculating that that brick was probably handled as it was being fabricated by Thomas Dustin himself. So we have no way of proving that, but we speculate that that is the case. And so here is the Garrison house, more or less today. Uh, the shutters are quite sturdy and they open. And then inside there are casement windows that swing out and have multiple lights of glass in them. And yeah, they need a little work. They're starting to get a little rickety. I don't know when they were last maintained, but to do that requires a lot of money, and we don't exactly have a lot of money to do it. But there it is. It has a front door. That is the front door. And then it has a back door that kind of operates off what likely was part of a kitchen or something else, because the main fireplace, we'll see a picture of that in a moment. So there it is. And Kaylee, if you would please move to the next slide. This 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 picture was taken sometime in the late 1930s. The the house, as I said, uh, was not the permanent home of Thomas and Hannah Dustin. They lived here maybe for, less than a year before they moved out of it to another place. It was not where Hannah was captured by the native raiders, which took place on March 15th, 1697. And Thomas and Hannah were living in a farm maybe three-quarters of a mile away in the vicinity of what is today Eudora Street in Haverhill Village. And uh, that was the house where she was recovering from having given birth to her uh, to her 12th child, whose name was Martha, and Martha was only a few days old at the time of this native raid, which was instigated by the French. Okay, part of what was called King William's War, and there were a lot of native raids that were instigated by the French government of New France, today known as Quebec, and uh, so she had just given birth, and in the whole capture of her and her midwife, who was a neighbor named Mary Neff, a little older than Hannah. And Hannah was about 39 years old at the time of the raid, and Mary Neff was in her mid to late 40s. And uh, that as the raiders were escaping with captives, including Hannah, Mary Neff, and baby Martha, uh, set fire to the Dustin farm. Okay, And remember, that was not this building here. This building was under construction. Thomas was still working on it, and it was brick, so it wouldn't likely have burned. But in about 1938, 1939, which is approximately the time that this picture was taken, the house, which was owned by other people unrelated to the Dustin family, had a connected barn to it going off the back of the building that we see here from this view. This the the house was gravely burned, and the barn went away, and just a lot of bad stuff happened to it. And the directors of the Dustin Family Association took a look at it and said, you know what? The current owner is asking something like $2,000 for the ruin of the Dustin house as is, and I think we should buy it. We should make, and so the family took a vote, and they decided to acquire the property and bring it back into the family. And they did that in about 1945. They raised sufficient funds to acquire the property. And also, they hired uh, a fairly famous colonial era reconstructor architect named Frank Chouteau Brown to come in and propose and guide the renovation of the house, the interior of the house, and a lot of the exterior here, because there are windows visible in this, in a doorway visible in this picture here, which no longer exist. So Frank kind of filled them up with bricks and did things to it to include uh, stripping out. There was some wiring in the house and stuff like that. He stripped out most of the wiring, and he also repaneled the interior, and he set the interior walls, which are minimal. They're not extensive. He set the walls back where he could tell, being an expert in colonial era structures, he could see where the walls originally had been, and he renovated the place. And we'll see a few pictures showing what it looks like today, thanks to Frank Chateau Brown's work renovating uh, Thomas and Hannah's brick garrison house. So I guess we can. They uh, did not reconstruct the barn. That was It was a given that that was just gone. So these are a couple of views that are several years old. It doesn't quite look like this anymore because over the years, a lot of anachronistic details and furnishings and so forth had been donated by Dustin family members in the post 1945 era, going up to fairly recent times. And there were a lot of things there that just didn't go. They didn't really belong. And it was confusing to family visitors who would come in and they'd say, why is that dress there? That's clearly not, people who are experts in old fabrics and costumes and that kind of thing. And they would take umbrage at a lot of the things that were in the reconstructed Dustin Garrison House. And so we in recent years we decided that we were going to try to remove some of the more glaring anachronisms and try to make it conform more to what it looked like back, 326, 327 years ago, back when Thomas and Hannah finally finally got all the permitting done and were able to move into their new brick garrison house. And so going in the front door, this on the left is a view of what the great room looked like, and it's actually looking through to a door that goes out into the back garden, which we kind of call the kitchen garden. And there are some things in there now that you won't see in this picture that you won't see today. But if you went through this hole in the wall here, you would come into the room on the right. And I kind of call it the kitchen, but I have to slap myself and remember that most of the actual food cooking took place in this giant fireplace that is opening on the left in this left view here. And Frank Chateau Brown paid a lot of attention to where fireplaces and the necessary heating and cooking uh, uh, furnishings, were. And it's really remarkable to see the fireplace as he reconstructed it. It's large. I mean, you could have a square dance in there. And uh, and then over here, there's another fireplace on the right-hand side. You can kind of see it, and I think the consensus is that was kind of a more of a baking fireplace where they could bake bread and things that needed to be, baked in ovens and oven kinds of things. I'm not a cook, but that's there. And to the right of that picture is the door to the back kitchen garden. And uh, go ahead, Kaylee, and click the picture, please. So this is if you were to go into the front door of the Garrison House today, you would see it looking pretty much like this. We've skinnied down some of the anachronistic furniture items which were donated by family members, uh, over the past 50, 100 years or whatever. A lot of stuff just kind of winds up in here, and we've pared it down to some essentials. These spinning wheels are believed to have been from the 17th century, and there are some chairs that are fairly old, although I wouldn't try to tell anybody that they were, from the 17th century. I don't know that they were. We've 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 jettisoned the trunk there because clearly it was a 19th early 19th century product and didn't have any basis for being in Hannah Duston's house. Uh, but okay, I guess we can see what's on the next slide. Oh, yes. I said we were getting rid of anachronisms. Well, just inside that front door, to the right of this gentleman's shoulder, was a Victorian pump organ that had been donated by some family member or somebody doing someone else a favor and saying, "Oh, sure, we'll take your old Victorian 1880s pump organ and we'll put it in the Garrison House." Of course, Thomas and Hannah like to have a little music on a cold night, and and that pump organ was so out of place in that great room. We kept getting all kinds of nasty notes and letters from our membership scattered across the country, people who had trekked in to visit us and see the property and then wind up saying, "Why is that there?" Well, that's a very good question. So we donated it to a place that collects old musical instruments and said, if you want to hire somebody to professionally remove it, please do. And it's been it's been a help to see it gone. So that was uh, that is it departing the premises. Elvis left the building. We've had, as we've been working on cleaning things up, we've had we've had a lot of visitors coming in, seeing our work. Our directors. We're kind of the work gang, seeing our cars parked on the lawn and stopping by. And with us here on the left, of course, many of you will recognize former city councilor Joe Bevilacqua, who lives sort of in the neighborhood and saw the work happening and stopped by and gave us encouragement and good words. And in the middle, very sad, is our late director, Ms. Maureen Ferris, who is well known for being an activist uh, in the state legislature, and she did a lot of work with assisting abused children in the Commonwealth. And sadly, Maureen died very suddenly, very unexpectedly a couple of months ago, and we miss her very much. And that is me on the right, of course. And so anyway, Kaylee, please. So what we do now, the house is the house is a registered uh, artifact, if you will, or structure in the National Register of Historic Places through the Massachusetts Historical Commission, and the family today, the family operates it through the Duston-Dustin Garrison House Association, which is a 501(c)(3), and uh, we we maintain it as a living history museum. We we conduct special tours, sometimes uh, some visiting family members or just persons interested in historic buildings will contact contact our board of directors, and the gentleman over here on the right, the young man next to me is Josiah Morrow, who is our current president of both the Dustin organizations, the Family Association and the Garrison House Association. And he's standing next to a couple of people who contacted and arranged a special tour from from the oil fields of the Far East in Bakersfield, California, and they came out. She was a relative of Hannah Dustin, and they wanted to see it, and so they came. There we are, and we have some people, some Dustin family members in the center picture who came out from Western Michigan, and with the last name Dustin, and then Josiah has a couple of people on the left who came up from New Orleans, Louisiana, and Josiah met them and gave them a special tour of the building, and there we are. So we do private tours, and then through the summer months, starting in about May, we we carry out open houses, which are staffed by our directors and a few volunteers, and we escort people through and talk about the property and its history and its significance, and answer questions. And um, so these are just some random pictures of people uh, doing that. And Kaylee, I think the next one will be good. And then back in 2001, uh, we decided that uh, we needed to do something that emphasized the defensive nature of what the house was established to be by the town of Haverhill back in 1696 when they decreed that the Duston brick house would become one of the six garrisons scattered around the outer perimeter of the village of Haverhill. And the I'm going to read a quote here. Whoa, I've lost the quote. But the 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 select the select board adopted a resolution that charged Thomas Dustin to finish his garrison house and to accept a squad of six armed men who would be quartered in his attic. And there's a fairly large attic up at the very top of the garrison house. The men would be quartered up there, and they would be. And Thomas was ordered to keep and this is a quote, to keep a good watch night and day and preserve the safety of the village, or help preserve the safety of the village. And so it really was a military defensive point in the geography of the village of Haverhill back 325, 26 years ago. So we reached out to some, excuse me, we reached out to some colonial reenactors, and the gentleman in the upper left corner here belonged to a colonial militia group that recreates 1675, what a militia group would have looked like in the Bay State colony in and around 1675. Of course, that's 100 years before the American Revolution, but that is the year of that 1675. No, that's not. But uh, the I've neglected to say that the raid on Haverhill, which claimed Hannah and Mary Neff and a dozen other abductees, took place March 15th, 1697. And in that raid, uh, 27 Haverhill townspeople were killed by the raiders. So 27 were killed and about a dozen were abducted, including Hannah Duston, Mary Neff, and her baby Martha, only a few days old. And they were marched off heading north to Quebec up along the Merrimack River. And the rest kind of is history. But these, this is called Benjamin Church's Company. And Benjamin Church was a real person. He was given a commission as a colonel of militia, and he they had to drill and muster volunteers to be part of Benjamin Church's company. A company was a unit of fighting men, and so the guy on uh, the guy on the far left, no, that one the guy in the green from the far left is a guy named Colonel or Captain Steve Eames, and he's from Maine, and he's a history professor at the University of I think it's University of Southern Maine, and he's written on fighting and the tactics of militias in the latter part of the 17th century, around 1675. And he we invited him to come out and demonstrate the drill that the militias would have gone through to remain in fighting form, and also talk about their muskets and the equipment that they typically carried as they went out on missions to defend the areas. And we also invited a bunch of colonial craftspeople, tinsmiths, pewtersmiths, horner. A horner is not a musician. A horner is a craftsperson who makes little vessels, things like powder horns and other things out of the horns of animals, like you know cows, oxen, that kind of thing. And so these people are doing demonstrations. This took place in August of 2021. And then they're demonstrating firing with their muskets, and people are milling about smartly and asking questions. And uh, it carried on for another couple of years, and then we got a little overextended, and so we've taken a hiatus. But we're gonna be remustering this year, and we believe we are moving the date from August. We're moving it to late June, which seems like a good time, and maybe the weather will be a little cooler then. Um, but look for uh, publicity to be ramping up in the next couple of months as we start to get the next uh, colonial muster at the Duston Garrison House organized and ready to go. So I guess we can go to the next slide, Kaylee. Oh, here are here are the reenactors, and also in the first one, we also had participation from the Acton Minutemen, who uh, who again reenacted the Minutemen from the American Revolution, and their captain is Captain Steve Crosby. He's the man, two people in from the left in the blue uniform coat, and so there's a combination of Acton Minutemen from 1775 and the Benjamin Churches Company, who are mostly down in front here, from 1675 in what was known as King William's War. It was one of the bloodier parts of the so-called French and Indian Wars, and was really getting going in around the time that the big raid on Haverhill took place that claimed Hannah and Mary Neff and the baby and a number of other people, as well as 27 dead townspeople. So we'll be doing this again, I think, in June, and there will be publicity. So, okay. And this this woman here is reenacting Hannah Duston, and she was very talented at doing that. And and there is a Dustin granddaughter, someone who's actually related to me. That's my granddaughter Fiona, and she lives in Arlington, Mass, with her mom and dad. And she was very thrilled to meet Hannah Duston, who she knew was related to her, and Hannah Duston was very kind and encouraging to Fiona. And so there they are talking, and she Hannah talks in an early English or early American accent. I don't know how you want to call it, but she was very talented at doing that. And so we just a word about the house, the Living History Museum. We we uh, we put a donation jar in the in the interior, in the vestibule as people come in, and we do solicit donations if people are moved by the experience and uh, want to help support the maintenance and upkeep of Hannah's an actual house that Hannah Duston did live in, and so we kind of survive on donations and uh, what else was I going to say? Um, and oh, I was going to say something about the fact that the house is divided into two stories, but it does have an attic. Uh, the attic is quite large, and you could see that six armed men uh, uh, under orders from the town select board could actually live up there, but it would be hot like crazy. It is so hot in the summertime up in that attic that I can't imagine people actually staying up there except in the wintertime. And up in the attic, you can actually see some beams from the fire of 1938, 1939 that claimed the barn. And it did some damage up in the attic. And you can see evidence of it if you go up there with a flashlight. Uh, the there are in the architect who designed the restoration, the renovation restoration, put staircases in. He put a staircase leading from the first floor up into the second floor, where there are two bedrooms, and there is another staircase that leads up into the attic. But the staircases, at least from the ground floor, were not there originally because these houses, being on the edge of a frontier, subject to native raids, very deadly raids, uh, did not have staircases leading up from the ground floor because raiders could easily burst in and run upstairs, and where the residents perhaps had fled for safety. Instead, there were ladders that went up from one floor to another, and the ladders could be hauled up and making it harder for raiders to follow and capture or harm the residents. But this guy Frank Chateau Brown did actually build uh, build a staircase, and so excuse me. Um, so those now exist, but that's a quite a big change from the original structure. We don't get any we don't get any support from the city or the village or whatever you want to consider it. We don't get any government grants, so we survive on donations and tips, and people come through and um, you know give what they can, and we're very grateful for anything that anybody can give us to help us keep the doors open. Excuse me. So that's about the extent of my talk, and I haven't written a book on this, and I, like I said, I don't have a PhD in colonial reconstruction or anything like that, but I do have a love for this old building, and it has a great connection to the village and the city of Haverhill, and to people who care about the things that happened 300 odd years ago in this part of New England that we all live in. So I'll take your questions. Happy to answer them to the best of my ability. Yes, Donna Collins. I think you're muted, Donna. Can you unmute your microphone?
Yeah, okay.
There you
Is that
go.
better? Okay. How often do you have the open houses once you start them in May?
Huh. Uh, Usually about the third week of every month, we have two or
Okay.
three scheduled, and unfortunately, I don't have the schedule in front of me. Perhaps I see Linda Cutulis is also on the Garrison House board, and maybe you can help me out here, Linda, because I don't have those notes in front of me. I know we
In the
set the first.
meantime, David, can you share a website or social media handles and where we can find more information?
Oh, uh, I'm embarrassed. I am not. I am not really, really uh, uh, well versed in social media, and if uh, so, I know we have a Facebook we have a Facebook page, and I think it's called the Duston-Dustin Garrison House Official. Does that sound plausible, Linda, or am I lying again?
Can look it up, but I can tell you that the dates we have are May 16th, July 18th from 11 to 2, and the muster is June 20th, if, as long as everything works out, from 10 to 3. So
So,
let me
Okay.
look up.
Could anybody hear that? I think we have.
no.
I, I'm I'm gonna I'm gonna
No,
dial
Your
up my.
microphone, Linda, is a little fuzzy. But I know that your muster is on June 20th because,
that's the plan. Yeah.
yes, the Dustin Garrison House, as well as the Whittier Birthplace and the other historic sites in Haverhill, call ourselves the Haverhill Cultural Treasures, and we try to do joint programming. And I know that your muster is on June 20th.
Right.
And the other dates were May 16th, these are
Yes.
Saturdays, and July 18th. And the time for these visits, open houses are 11 to 2.
11
The
to 2.
the muster will be free, or free will donations freely, gratefully accepted. But at the time of the muster, obviously we will be able to escort people and give them a quick tour of the interior of the Garrison House. But yes, we have an open house on May 16th, and our open house hours are from 11 until about.
Two,
Somebody speaking a question? Uh, Okay, I don't know. But anyway, 11 until 2 are the hours for our open houses, which are staffed by volunteers. And then, as Linda said, our next muster is going to be on June 20th, and that will probably be from about 10 until 3 in the afternoon. And then we have another, so that's the event for June. And in July, we'll have another open house on the 18th of July.
Mhm.
And we haven't yet we haven't yet set the remaining monthly open houses. We'll be doing that at another board meeting, but we will probably go in through October, and then in October we basically kind of winterize and stop giving open house tours. And again, there's just inside the Garrison House. There's really only one electrical plug that we use for artificial light. Um, and there's no plumbing. There's no water or anything in it. And so when we do the muster, we hire in a porta potty, which we tuck on the premises kind of behind a bunch of trees and brush. So uh, that's kind of a necessary thing. My wife makes this big sign that has kind of an arrow pointing to it around the trees, and it says "Ye Old Privy," OLDE. I
David,
thought
I
it.
like your choice of words. In the 17th century, the euphemism for what we would call a porta potty was the necessary.
Yes,
That,
yes,
oh, I need to use the necessary. I'll be
yes.
right back.
So the Facebook page is the Dustin Duston dash Dustin Garrison House dash official. Just so you know.
Okay. Okay. The Duston Garrison House dash official. Okay. And so you can see some things that people have posted in there, and um, but it's it's not something that we, you know, I don't go on it. I'm sorry. I'm old. And uh, at any rate, but it's kind of nice to stay in touch with people that way.
Well, thank you, David. This has been wonderful. Do we have any other questions before we say goodnight? Patty, I see that you have unmuted. Do you have a question?
No, I don't have a question. I just wanted to say that I have enjoyed living beside the Dustin House for years and years and years. I lived on Hilldale Avenue, right at the corner where West Rochambeau comes out on the highway. So we're only a couple houses down. So
Oh,
it was a common walk, we would walk by it every day with our dogs. And if the house was open, we always took advantage of, poking in, taking a look. Um,
terrific.
yeah, so it was convenient. The other thing I wanted to add is I don't know if you know it or but I'm a geocacher and on the property in the back of the property is actually a geocache. So the geocache itself describes the house and the history and so it's I don't know if you knew it was there, but
No,
yeah.
you're telling me things I don't know. I kind of know what you're talking about generically, but I
Yeah.
didn't know there was one on our property.
Yeah, well, it's in the back. You go out to the back where the lawn meets the trees, and it's
Sure.
and it's just like you step into the trees about maybe 10 feet, and it's hidden in there. It's
Yeah.
you can find it with longitude and latitude. It's posted on the geocaching website, so it's nice because people get to go there and a lot of nice comments about um, going and visiting the house.
That's really fascinating. I'm so glad to hear about this. I'm glad you mentioned it, and I would encourage you, to the extent you have some sp spare time, to come on by. If we're doing an open house, you'll see cars parked on the lawn,
Yeah,
and and stop in and find me or Josiah or somebody else, and maybe show us what you're talking about, because
yeah,
we're kind of clueless. This is the first
yeah.
time hearing of this, but
Oh,
it's
that's cool. Yeah. It's a small container usually that somebody hides and it has a logbook in it. So you go and find it and you sign your name to prove that you found it. And then there are sometimes little trinkets so you can trade. Little kids like to trade items, sometimes. It's just a fun little hobby. There are caches all over the city. There's also one that brings you to the big, huge monument by Hannah Duston Nursing Home. There's a
okay. Yeah,
there's
the
a big
boulder.
the Rock Memorial, which right across from the high school.
Yes.
There's another one that brings you there, so it kind of brings you there, and then I think it actually the next stop. It's kind of a succession of historic places in Haverhill. So you go there, and then the next stop is the Hannah Duston House. So
That's
yeah,
so interesting. I'm so happy to know about this,
yeah,
because we would certainly uh, encourage that, and we're so glad that uh, Thomas and Hannah's house is is on the network, and
Well,
that's
the rules are that the person hiding the cash is supposed to get permission from the property owners. So I'm not sure if that actually happened or not. It doesn't sound like it did. Um,
maybe Josiah knew about it.
yeah,
And maybe
yeah,
Linda, I don't know if you've heard anything about it, but this
yeah,
is news to me. I, I don't see a reason to object to it, and but I
yeah,
think it's something that we can talk about at our next board meeting and just make sure
yeah.
nobody has a heartburn about it. And I can't see why.
Right, right. Well, that I was a little surprised, but I was thinking maybe somebody just got permission to place it there. It's not in a place like sometimes if they're near gardens or something, property owners don't like that because a social trail will form, from a lot of people going onto the property and just stomping down things. But this is just outside the lawn area, so I don't think it's any.
Yeah.
There's no damage,
Right. I'm not sensing that that would be an issue. I
Yeah,
just want to make sure that that
yeah,
the board, we're governed by a board, not just one person, and
right.
make sure that no one else has some objection that I haven't thought of or other people, I don't think they
Yeah.
would.
Yeah,
We
I don't think so either. It's fine. It seems like it's okay to me. I mean, if I had I've been geocaching for a long time, and I do a lot of review work, and I'll report something that doesn't look appropriate. If there's something that's on a private property that really doesn't look like it belongs there, I'll report it. But this one looked fine. If you have I don't know, a website or an email, I would be happy to send the link to it to you so you could see the description of the page?
It looks like we just lost David.
Nope. Well, maybe Kaylee, you can tell me how I can write to him.
Yes,
You can
you
send
have
it to
my
me.
email, Patty, so I
Yeah,
can forward it on to him.
sure.
Um, I'm not sure why we lost him, but we're close to the end of the time anyway. So I just want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. Our next lecture in this winter series is with Jeremy Davis of the New England Ski Museum. He's going to be talking on the evening of Thursday, March 26th at 7 p.m. And his presentation is on lost ski areas of the White Mountains with special emphasis on Mount Whittier in Ossipee, New Hampshire. So I
Huh.
hope you all can join us for that. This will be a much more recent history than what we usually focus on here, but I think it should be a great presentation, and I hope you can join us. Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight.
Can I ask one more question?
Yes, I don't have our
Um,
speaker tonight, so I hope I can
in
answer.
case one of you might know, what are the two different spellings of the name? Dust Dawn and Dustin.
So there was no standardized spelling until the early 1800s, and different branches of the family decided to spell Dustin different ways.
Okay, because
Huh.
I'm related to Hannah Dustin too.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's cool.
So yeah. All right, thank you.
Okay, Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, everybody.